Hello, everybody. We can see. Welcome, Alex. Welcome, Anand, Giselle, Jaden, Jeanette, Jenny, Rohan. Hello.
Try to do it on YouTube now.
Hello.
Already live.
We can see.
Okay, it should be live on YouTube now.
Yeah.
Hello, Sam.
So look, I'll make you host now.
Sure. Do you want me to share my screen yet?
It's already
Oh.
sharing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I better put something decent up.
You can see your PowerPoints.
Okay, all the people is coming now. It's a lot of people coming, and is everybody very familiar with the Zoom? On your bottom line, you will see the chat, right? So which is everybody can say hi, and also please let us know which city are you from? Are you from Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, or other cities? Please let us know.
So can they see everyone now?
Yeah.
Well, hi, everybody.
Everybody can see us.
Okay, that's good.
Yes.
How
If
lucky
you
are
can
they?
see us, put on your hands. Put up your hands.
Put your hands up. And also we do have a Q&A section as well. So if you have some question, please put in the Q&A, because sometimes if you put it in the chat, it's easily just be pushed down, you know? We don't want to miss any of your questions. So please put on Q&A the questions.
Very good.
But, you know, just generally talking, if you want to say hi, say what's your feedback, is welcome to put on the chat.
I see majority of people from Sydney.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's good. We're going to be talking a little bit about Brisbane. You'll have to forgive me. I get very excited about Brisbane. I've lived here all my life. So, and at the moment, there's a lot of good things going on in Brisbane. So I will get a bit excited. You'll just have to be ready for that.
We'll give people another 2 minutes. 7:05 we'll start the webinar.
Okay.
If anyone got questions, yeah, you can leave your questions in the chatting area or in the
Q&A.
section.
In the Q&A, not on the chat, please.
Yeah. So we can answer your questions, especially when Luke is here.
Yeah. Luke.
Yes.
Luke best.
Here I am.
Yes. And really appreciate everybody, you know, Tuesday night and utilize your rest time and come to online. And then we are in Brisbane. We are based in Brisbane. Brisbane weather is beautiful. How is Sydney? We just come back from Sydney last week. It was so cold when we were there. How's Sydney now? And tonight, I'm so happy to be the MC. I'm going to host this event. And also you can see other 3 handsome men is on the screen as well. So I will introduce you guys soon. Especially today, we have a special guest speaker.
Okay, I think we should get started.
All right. Can you see my screen? Have I shared screen? We're good to go?
Not yet.
Okay.
It's okay. All right. So now it's 7:04. We usually give it 5 minutes to let other people and then get online. And tonight, we are someplace property group based in Brisbane. And we know we might met a lot of today the people from the Sydney Property Expo or the Melbourne Property Expo. I'm Lena. I'm one of the co-founder, and also Junyi is the co-founder. Is in charge of the marketing. And also we got Richard here, is our operational director. And also today we got some very special guest, which is Luke.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah, look, someplace we are the property service company, and we work with amazing local developers and a master agent to get the very competitive project for our investors. And we are the one-stop service company. And also we do webinars quite often, usually once a month. And today because a lot of news, they talk about interest rate is already going up twice. It's going to be third time soon. A lot of buyers, they concerned about, wow, is this market still good to buy? Is any risk? Is the price going to drop off? A lot of doubt, scare, fear. And also we are the people local in the Southeast Queensland and Brisbane and the Gold Coast. So we would like to give you some more inside information tonight. All right. So today the structure is firstly, Luke will talk about his insight. You know, in the last 20 years, he's been involved in this market. He will share some very excited inside information, and also one very amazing and rare opportunity. And then Junyi is going to talk about market, how the interest affects the market. And then Richard's going to introduce another house and land project as well. So please stay with us. Okay. All right. So let's welcome Luke.
All right. Thank you very much. I will just share my screen here, guys, and get this underway. All right. Is that working?
Yes.
We can see.
Great. You can see my presentation?
Yes.
Very good. All right. I'll just minimize that. Okay, so that's me. I look so much better then. I must have been a little bit younger when that photo was taken, but as Lena said, I've been doing this for a little over 20 years, and it's a real pleasure to be here with you this evening to tell you a little bit about my insights on the Brisbane property market. So thank you to Sunplace, and thank you all for taking the time out of your evenings to have a listen to what I've got to impart. So part of my role is looking after our developers, as well as helping the team with their own skills and helping them achieve their goals, but also working with our alliance partners. So Sunplace is one of our top alliance partners, and certainly some of my favourite people to work with, obviously. So to tell you a little bit about the Brisbane market, I guess I've lived in Brisbane all my life. I grew up here, and I've been involved in real estate or property for about 25 years. I've been selling Brisbane, brand new properties in Brisbane for just over 20 years. So why is Brisbane the place to be at the moment? There's a couple of things we need to think about when we look at any sort of real estate investment. And the most important things we need to look at are the fundamentals. So population growth, investment and infrastructure, and employment opportunities. So PIE, P-I-E. They're the three things that you should always look at whenever you're investing in real estate. One thing I'm going to talk about tonight on top of those three things is supply. So without supply, it's really hard to have the demand actually be able to transact on property. Obviously, there can be lots and lots of demand, but without any supply, there's just no turnover. So people don't have a place to live. So that's where we're sitting with Brisbane at the moment. We've got great population growth. We've got some of the biggest investment in infrastructure projects in the country. And with that comes obviously employment opportunities. Our issue is supply. And as I said, I'll talk to you a little bit more about that. So the population growth itself, net interstate migration reached just under 10,000 people in the December quarter last year, which was the highest volume since 2003. 2003, we saw around about 30,000 people come to Queensland, Southeast Queensland. So if you're looking at 10,000, just under 10,000 in one quarter, and that hasn't slowed down, that's going to be closer to 40,000 people this year. Of the 9,736 people, a staggering 42.5% were coming here from Sydney, and around about just under 30% coming from Melbourne. There's a couple of reasons for that. One of them is affordability. The second is that we're wonderful people up here and you just want to come and be just like us. So that's another big reason you're all coming up north. But the main thing is affordability. So the average home loan amount in Queensland is 36% lower than that in New South Wales. And it's 21% lower than that of Victoria. So if you just sort of consider that, if you're a first home buyer and you're moving out of home, and your opportunity, or a young family even, and you've got an opportunity to head north to a sunnier climate, to a place that is 36% more affordable to buy a property, and there's a ton of jobs on offer. That's the main reason why people are heading north out of our other two major capital cities in Australia. The other thing we've got that's coming in, obviously, we've had our borders open, internationally. So we've got those international arrivals on the increase. We're seeing a large number of expats coming home. I'm not sure whether we're seeing that in New South Wales and Victoria, but in Queensland, we are definitely seeing it. I'm seeing a good number of my expat friends returning home. So people out of Hong Kong, Singapore, out of the UAE, and out of UK coming back. And our office, so we have 850 properties under management, under property management. And we have two buildings in St. Lucia that are heavily student dominant, and they have had increases of about $150 a week in their rents over the last quarter. That's largely because of the increase in the student population. And interestingly, Europe and UK have been the main drivers there, and secondary to the Asian countries. Obviously, China playing a bit of a part in that, in not letting people out. But we are seeing that starting to come back now. So there's a lot of people coming into the area. It's affordable, and that's one of the main reasons. But it's also warm. It's comfortable, and it's a place where people generally want to live. The other thing that's starting to attract people, and not just your general mum and dad people, expats, young families and everything else, but major corporations that are involved around our Olympics. So the roadmap to the 2032 Olympics for Brisbane is that we've got 50 infrastructure projects. I think it's just over 50, but we'll just round it down to 50 infrastructure projects that need to be completed over the next decade. Now, to do that, we need people. So there are a lot of job opportunities coming, and the government is reaching out to major corporations, major building corporations, to come in and position themselves here in, obviously, Southeast Queensland. Majority of those are going to land here in Brisbane, so that we can build these projects and get them delivered on time. $30 billion worth of infrastructure development. If you're aware of what's been going on in the construction industry, as far as costs and delivery supply chains, that $30 billion is fast increasing every day, even though we're already delivering some of these projects. I won't go into too much detail on what those 50 projects are, but some of the major ones are things like the Woolloongabba redevelopment. We've got the Cross River Rail. We've got the light rail as well. And then things like Brisbane Live and Victoria Park upgrades and things like that. So they're major infrastructure projects. Importantly, a number of them are very much advanced. So they're already well and truly underway. So we're not starting a lot of these projects now. They're underway. Some of the smaller projects like bridges and things like that, they'll be coming in at a later date, and they'll only take a year to complete. So that's pretty major items there as far as jobs. So we talked about population growth. We talked about infrastructure. The other one is employment. Recently, you may have noticed that we've had a change of government. So we're now a Labor federal government. Queensland's a Labor government. So we're going to get along really well with the federal government in being able to deliver more jobs. Typically, Labor will be delivering things like healthcare and education. So we've got a lot more jobs coming in on that side of things. In fact, Brisbane over the last 2 years has seen the first two new schools built in the city. So in the 4,000 postcode in the last 30 years. So we haven't had brand new schools delivered in the city for more than 30 years. We've just had two delivered. So that's just one example. There's a whole new cancer research facility that's being built at the Royal Brisbane Women's Hospital, and that's just been committed. That's going to deliver 3,500 jobs. That'll be delivered over the next 2 years. Plus, we've got to build it. So there's people to actually build the thing. So those fundamentals that we spoke about just back here, population growth, investment in infrastructure, and employment opportunities, PI, those three key elements you need. Brisbane has it in spades. We've got it. We've almost got too much of it. It's the place to be, okay? So one little thing that I just thought I'd point out, just on supply, because my favourite thing is when someone says, "Oh, but there's an oversupply." Brisbane hasn't had an oversupply since 2005. There was a slight little increase in 2015, but aside from that, we haven't had any. A recent study by HIA Economics found that Australia requires 1.7 million net new homes from 2022 to 2032. So that's Australia. That's over the next 10 years. That's just to keep up with demand in population growth. That equates to around about 200,000 homes a year. Those estimates do exclude allowances for the demolition of existing dwelling. So we expect that, so that's where someone might knock down a house and put up 2 houses. So we expect that the required homes is probably higher than that. Just looking at that, national dwelling starts at 197,000 in 2022 and 185,000 for 2023. That's starting construction. Basically, we don't have enough. We're 15,000 short already next year. This graph, it was pretty, I'll be honest, it was pretty overwhelming for me as someone in Brisbane. I'm hoping you can all see it, but I'll just move my mouse around. So in New South Wales, we had a drop for the year of about 60% in approvals. So these are approved new dwellings. So we've got private houses and then we've got other dwellings. So that'll be apartments and townhomes. In New South Wales, there's been a massive drop here. Victoria, a drop in approvals year on year. So this is from last April to April just past. In Queensland, we had 2,378 homes approved and 611 apartments and townhomes approved in 1 year. So we're not talking a month, that's for the year. That's a drop of 50%. So we're supposed to be delivering 200,000 homes a year in Queensland, in Australia, and all we're doing in our major capital cities is seeing massive drops. These numbers don't add up to where they need to be. So supply levels are ridiculous. We have seen an increase in Adelaide, obviously, some significant increases there. 503 new approvals, 800 new housing approvals for the year. So obviously that number is going to increase dramatically because they've got some affordable product there. What they don't have is the population increase. They don't have the employment opportunity, and they certainly don't have the infrastructure projects that Brisbane has. Other states and territories in Western Australia, well, we probably won't talk about them. It's all a bit scary. But importantly, we are not delivering enough supply. Okay, so it doesn't matter whether it's Queensland, Victoria, or New South Wales, there's not enough supply. People are leaving New South Wales and Victoria, remember, so they shouldn't be approving more, but they're coming here in droves. 10,000 people a year, and we had 611 townhomes and apartments and 2,378 houses approved over the last 12 months. So we don't have enough, nowhere near enough. Tim Lawless, who is very well respected, is the research director in CoreLogic's Asia Pacific region. So he has said that Brisbane remains one of the nation's hottest housing markets. The ongoing imbalance between supply and demand is likely to keep some upwards pressure on housing prices, even in the face of higher interest rates, at least until advertised supply levels start to normalise. So we're half what we would normally be doing. And even with interest rate rises, it won't matter. And that's a whole nother thing. But as an investor in property, I can tell you interest rate rises and inflation is a really good thing. It's excellent. I'm excited because I haven't had interest rate rises for quite some time. So I haven't been putting my rents up. I recently put up my rent on a 1-bedroom apartment by 11%. So the increase of my interest rate of an extra 0.5% against my 11% increase on my property, I'm not too worried. So interest rates are a good thing. A couple of other little pretty picture stats here, which I'm really enjoying. The median house price in Brisbane as of May, just gone, is 880,000 now. 2 years ago, we were around about that 700,000, 650,000. So we have had some increases. But over the last 3 months, we've seen 5.7% increase. So it's not just, we've had 1 year of increase and that's it. This year we are still on the increase and it doesn't look like slowing down. Importantly, it doesn't look like slowing down because of everything I've just told you. We've got population increase, we've got infrastructure and investment, and we've got jobs, lots and lots and lots of jobs. Our current vacancy rate right now is below 1%. We're at 0.7%. That's the residential market. So we do not have enough supply. And our rental yields are sitting around, so it's just over 3% and just over 4.5% on the two different types of product. That averages out at around $910 a week for houses on average, and $440 on average for apartments. I think that apartment rental is going to go up pretty significantly very, very soon. And that's mainly because people want to live close to everything. They want a 5-minute neighborhood. I'll tell you about one of those in a second. So is it the right time to buy in Brisbane? We've spoken about the booming population growth and therefore the high demand. We've got major infrastructure projects, 50 of them, if you want to count them out, that we've got to deliver over the next decade. We've got a high level of owner-occupier buyers. So importantly, as I mentioned right at the start, our company, myself, we've been selling basically brand new apartments and townhomes in Brisbane, for a good number of decades. And we move around about 1,000 a year on average. So out of that 1,000 that we did over the last 12 months, 90% of them are for owner-occupiers. So that's a significant number. Those people have been calculated at 7% interest rates and 8% interest rates because that's what banks do. They're buying and they're not going anywhere. They're buying as an owner-occupier. So they're not bringing the property back to the market in 6 months and moving into another property. They've bought to live there. So they're underpinning the strength of the rental market, of the strength of the residential market in values. And what that's doing, as I've said, is we're down to 0.7% in the vacancy rate. So more investors are starting to enter the market because of those low vacancy rates and those increased rental yields. The pressure for a tenant right now in Brisbane, all you need to do is jump onto realestate.com or something like that and have a look at what's available. And some places have obviously done their research and chosen specific projects for you to have a look at because they're in areas where, there's no supply and, a high demand. So that factor right now, if you're a tenant in Brisbane, it's a horrible place to be. It's hard work. There's not a lot of properties to rent and the rents are being pushed every day of the week. So that's a good reason to be an investor. The investment in education and health sector, because we're Labor government, affordability compared to the other capitals, which we ran through right at the top of the presentation, and that drastically low supply. So for us to be able to have such a ridiculously small amount of supply is pretty scary. I'll just come back here if that's okay. To just put those fundamentals in place, your population explosion, the infrastructure investment that creates jobs. But we don't have enough supply to keep up with it. So that's just going to constantly put pressure on the values in Brisbane. So you will see rents increasing for the next 5 to 10 years, and you'll see property prices increasing for the next 5 to 10 years. I've been talking about this for a while, for the last few years, but it is definitely a very obvious point now. So is that okay if I go straight into the next thing, or did you go straight on to Fable?
Yeah.
Okay.
Show us some good examples here. What kind of?
Let me do that. So I'm going to show you Fable. Fable is, let me just bring it up here. Hang on. Fable is, where are we? Share screen. Sorry. Fable is our new project, brand new project in Everton Park, which is about 7 kilometres north of Brisbane CBD, about 7.5 kilometres north of Brisbane CBD, which for some of you Sydneyites, you might think that's, an hour from the city. It's less than 20 minutes to the CBD. So we've got some brand new townhomes that are just about to start construction. They're all 3-bedroom with what we call an MPR, a multi-purpose room. So it could be a living room, it could be a 4th bedroom. It's an extra space on top of your normal 3-bedroom townhouse that you can use as you wish. Importantly, at Position Property, we only work with trusted developers. So Rogers Corp, we've known for quite some time now, and we've delivered a couple of projects with Simon. Simon Rogers is pretty much self-funded to a certain degree, has delivered a number of key commercial and residential projects over the last couple of decades. Importantly, most recently, some townhome developments and a medical centre and childcare centre here in Everton Park. Z Architects are the architect company. Lord Inc., the landscape design designers. Obviously, there's us, Position Property, and the builder, which was recently announced, is DevCon, which is really exciting. DevCon and Rogers Corp have worked together very recently on a townhome development that was a huge success for everyone. Looking at where we are, so we're just north of the city. So 8 k's north of the city. From our site to the GPO in the middle of the city is a 7.5 kilometre drive, but we'll just say 8 k's, just under. Where we are north of the city, and Everton Park, it's a very established sort of green suburb. So there's a lot of houses in here that have been here for 30 odd years. But there's been some new development in and around where Fable is, and that's largely new little sort of, it's called Park Lane. It's a little village. It's got rooftop bars, community cantina, there's quick service food outlets, specialty shops. There's a farmer's market every Saturday. So it's a real village atmosphere that's sort of come to life there. There's a little bit more development happening of that with a bit more expansion, some more specialty shops going in. But that's just across the road from Fable, which is in here. We've also got the full-size Woolworths supermarket with coffee shops and different news agencies and everything else along the front of that. And you will see some larger bulk goods style storage or outlets. So we've got an A-Mart, we've got a BCF, there's an Anaconda, Harvey Norman. So there are a few larger sort of service centre type retailers, again, employers in the area, which is great. Bus services along South Pine Road, you'll be in the city within 15 minutes. And there's also a train line just down here. So importantly, you should try and get something where you have got access via train into the city. So from Fable, it's a 5-minute walk down to the train station. And obviously, you're only a short ride into the city. A couple of other things to point out. I mentioned infrastructure projects, along with the Olympics. So our new airport is all opening up. The new international terminals being delivered and everything else. So that's a 15-minute drive along the Airport Link Tunnel. Airport Link Tunnel's already been delivered. So we've got a lot of people who work in and around the airport who live in Everton Park. In addition to that, we've got the Athletes Village is being delivered at Hamilton, which will be 20 minutes from Everton Park by the time that's delivered. Something else that's underpinning the rental market in Everton Park and Enoggera is the Enoggera Barracks. So Defence Force, obviously, working out at the Enoggera Barracks there, but it's everyone else that works alongside the Defence Force. So your cleaning companies, your catering companies, delivery drivers, all those other companies that work in and alongside of Defence that are here living in Everton Park. So some of the green elements, we've got the Kedron Brook, which runs through here. So basically it's a cycle and walkway that you can go all the way through. There's kilometres and kilometres and kilometres of tracks there. You can go all the way out to the bay on that cycle track, which is awesome. A lot of green parks, as well as obviously some schools. So this here, I'm hoping you can see my mouse, Everton Park State High School is within about 800 metres of the Fable site. We've actually got 4 schools. So there's 4 state and private schools within 1,000 metres of the site. We've got the Everton Park High, Enoggera Primary. You've got Hillbrook, which is a Catholic school. And then you've got Everton Park Primary as well. So all close by. For bigger shopping centres, so Brookside Shopping Centre is about 1 kilometre away, where you've got your major retailers and larger retailers there as well. So dress shops and shoe shops and all those sorts of things. So it's a very connected suburb. The site itself would have to be one of the most connected townhome developments we've ever had. And it was actually, I'll get into that in a second, it was actually mooted to be an apartment complex. We convinced Rogers Corp to do townhomes, so it's pretty exciting. So I've run through most of this. You've got the new Woolworths, which is there, the GO2 Health and Childcare Centre. So that was delivered by Rogers Corp. That's just next door. And then all this other infrastructure that's gone in now. So a lot of people have been looking at Everton Park as an option because originally, it's been a little bit more affordable compared to some of our neighbours, but that's starting to change pretty rapidly. So there is a bit of pressure on people to get in and act as quickly as possible to get into Everton Park and then obviously ride that wave of growth. Quick overview on the project. So there's 57 townhomes in total. They're all the 3-bedroom design with 2.5 bathrooms, 2-car accommodation. And as I mentioned, they've all got that 4th room, that multi-purpose room. They are 3-level townhomes. They've got beautiful fixtures and finishings, which we'll have a look at. Importantly, we made sure that we did include facilities. So there is a pool and an outdoor dining area. We'll have a look at those. There's even a couple of EV charging stations in the complex as well, which electrical vehicles are obviously becoming more and more popular. But importantly, with 57 townhomes, we haven't delivered too much. So body corporates remain around that sort of $75 per week, including your general insurance. I mentioned really briefly there, originally this was earmarked to be apartment complexes in and around Everton Park. So there was 378 apartments approved by council here. But we convinced Rogers Corp to make it townhomes. It's a huge positive and a huge win for the values in Everton Park, but also for those people who managed to secure a property here at Fable, we know long term it's a massive positive around growth because they just never be able to deliver something like this again. And obviously we've worked really tirelessly with the architects to make sure that the product itself is attractive, it's modern, but without being too sore thumb. So if you sort of catch my drift on what we're saying there, you'll see there's some bricks incorporated into the design, as well as that sort of traditional timber look. The houses in and around Everton Park are traditionally brick homes. There might be some that have got a little bit of timber element to them. We didn't want to be rude to the suburb. We wanted to sort of tie in and blend in with everything that's in the area. But we still want to deliver beautiful modern townhomes so that people can sell their home in the area, downsize into something like this, but actually probably upgrade into the product they're moving into because it's a high quality product. It's brand new. They don't need to go through all the rigmarole of trying to renovate their home, which is proving very difficult at the moment. So this is the main entry to the development. So as you're coming in here, there's a left and a right, depending on where you are in the townhome complex. So plenty of space to move around and you're not sort of stuck, sort of trying to get through one long big row of townhomes, which we really liked. The facilities themselves, you'll see this in the pictures. They really are beautiful. So we've got the lagoon pool. There's outdoor barbecues and pizza ovens. This is basically a resort in the middle of Everton Park where people can come and lay and catch some sun or exercise in the pool. You can see it's a beautiful, tranquil space in the middle of the development there. So right sort of handy for everyone to be able to access it. Sort of looking back the other way there. So we've got a little pavilion on the other side of the pool here, which we'll have a look at here. So 2 beautiful barbecue areas and big dining table areas, all shaded and protected, so you can use it year round. A little pizza oven here as well. And my favorite is the fire pit. So I could imagine sort of sitting there with some marshmallows and on a cool winter's night like tonight. Some of you in Sydney wouldn't understand what cold is. We're experiencing a freezing cold evening here. I think it's around about 15 or 17 degrees. That's our winter. So, a nice little spot there to enjoy and entertain with friends and family. The finishes, look, as everything you'd expect in a new townhome development. So beautiful timber flooring to the lower level and to your living areas, as well as obviously all the staircases. There's ducted air conditioning, stone tops in your kitchens and the bathroom areas with soft close cabinetry. We've actually got induction cooktops going in, so we've upgraded those. Smeg appliances, obviously. All the tiling in the wet areas is floor to ceiling. Obviously, you've got some plush carpet to the bedrooms. Nice high ceilings through your living level, around 2.7 and just under that for your ground floor where the garage is and obviously up in the bedroom levels. There are 2 colour schemes to choose from, which when we get down to those details, we can have a look at. But the lighter one here, the light kitchen, is your cool, and the warm is that timber kitchen, that beautiful timber kitchen there, which has got the grey bench tops and that timber cabinetry. So we'll have a look at the townhomes that we've got available really quickly. So we've got coming in at ground level, obviously you've got that 2-car accommodation, and you would go straight upstairs to your living level. I'll just point out on that lower level in the garage, we've got the built-in laundry down there. So there's a fair bit of cabinetry going into this. You can see it on the right-hand side. So you've got your hanging rails, obviously all that built-in cabinetry there. So linen press, overhead cupboards, space for the washer and the dryer. And then out onto the little deck at the rear yard, which is a turfed yard, you've got that clothesline there as well. But you'll notice at the end of the car here to the door, there is extra space. These are extra long garages. So there's a lot of space down there. You could put a home gym, or space for your play area for the kids or something like that if you wanted to. Later on you could add a little nib wall here if you wanted and create another little space downstairs. Upstairs, so as I said, you walk in, you're coming straight upstairs, you land up on at this level here. So you're coming out into the dining, living and kitchen area. That has a beautiful big balcony out the front. And then this back here is that MPR room that I mentioned. So you've got a full bedroom sized room back here, plus there's a powder room. So there's a couple of reasons I really like this. So if the kids are watching TV, mum and dad are entertaining in here, that works really well. But if you've got guests staying over, then they can stay in this room and they've got access to a bathroom. If you're having a dinner party, the powder room is nice and tucked away. Windows at each end, obviously, so that beautiful cross-flow ventilation. These are 165 square metres internally, so they're coming in around the 829 through to 849 for the ones that we've got remaining for sale. I'll just show you upstairs. So, sorry, I'll show you the cut-through render. So that's where I was just on the main living level. So you can see this patio out the front to the left-hand side off the living area, central dining room, the main kitchen, which is the hub of the home. And then just around this side is where your MPR room is. So that extra room over this side. So whether it's, I would probably put a fold-out bed in there, like a couch that's a fold-out bed, so you can use that as a 4th bedroom if you need to. Otherwise, it becomes the MPR, the multi-purpose room, the living room. So great space, lots of natural light, 2.7 ceilings, really well put together through that space. Upstairs, so you've got the main bedroom back here, which is separate to the other 2 bedrooms. So as you're coming upstairs, you'll land in this section here. You'll go left to bedroom 2 and 3, obviously both with their own built-in robes. There's some linen press storage here and a bathroom with a little window. And then in your main bedroom, as you're coming through, you can see on the right-hand side where I've got these 2 images, you've got the diagram of what your ensuite will look like, as well as obviously those robes. So we haven't just got, normal ugly mirrored robes. These are proper built-in cabinetry robes. So just a nicer detail that most, I guess, townhomes, investment style product you don't tend to get. So Rogers Corp making a big effort there to deliver something that's a little bit more special. There's an image there of the bedroom. You can see the cabinetry there on the right-hand side. So those wardrobes there on the right. So all built in, properly finished, nice, neat detail. We've got some rental appraisals there. So we're looking at 740 to 780 per week. That's very conservative, but it is what we'd rather under promise and over deliver. But it's largely around what's on offer in Everton Park, as well as the quality. So being able to walk within 5 minutes to all of those things, the supermarket, the bars, the restaurants, schools, all those things are really playing a part on people at the moment. They want that 5-minute neighbourhood. The other thing you're getting here with your depreciation, obviously, brand new townhome. Look, you've got your maximums and minimums. I'm not allowed to give financial advice, so I'll just leave that there so you can see it. And obviously, you can always refer back to this, and the team can share this information with you. But a brand new townhome returning a 5% return is a pretty good way to go as far as if you want to use those advantages around tax. Delivery and timing. So we're going to be built in a rolling construction stages. So the first stage, basically all the earthworks and most of the civil works will be done in one go. But importantly, all the townhomes will finish in 2 separate sections. There's 30 in the first stage, so a little less in the second stage. and they are very separate. So anyone that moves in is not going to be bothered by the completion of the second stage, and we're looking at around about 6 months for that anyway. So it's not a major drama. Stage 1 construction commencement is in the next month or so. It'll definitely be in August, but we're just sort of saying end of Q3. Construction completion will be the end of next year. So settlement January. Again, I'd rather be conservative there. So we're going to try and get everyone in by the end of next year, but we've just got to be mindful of how council operate. They can be a little slow. To purchase a 10% deposit, and then there's no more to pay until that settlement period. So it's a pretty quick turnaround from when you're putting your deposit down to when you're settling. Importantly, the market's going to continue to increase, so you will be securing a property at today's price and then riding that growth over the next 12 to 18 months before you actually have to pay for it, which is a huge positive. Some of the great things about buying off the plan. So that's it from me, but I'll stop sharing my screen.
Great.
Hang on a sec. You might want to take over.
A lot of thank you, Luke, for sharing all the wonderful information. And
That's
this is
okay.
really, really rare. 10 kilometer to Brisbane CBD
Yeah.
townhome project. All right. So if you guys only have a limited stock, so if you're really interested about this information afterwards, you can ask who someplace strategists invite you. We can send it to you, and we can talk more details. Okay. Thank you, Luke. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Luke.
Thank you, Luke.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for your time. Okay, now we hand over to Junyi. Junyi is gonna talk about more about what's happening in the market, about interest.
Interest rate, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Before I start, I want to get some interactions. Yeah. So I just start poll questions so people can get some feedback. Let's start the first one. Is everyone able to see my screen?
No. Not
No?
yet.
Okay. What's the reason?
Meanwhile, if you have any questions, you can post it in the Q&A anytime. It is a very casual webinar, so if we found your question is good to answer during the presentation, we'll try to answer your questions during the presentation. Or it just came up,
Come out.
but it's gone again.
Yep, it's good.
It's the result. It's not the.
This is result, yeah.
Mm.
But what I want to show people. Are you able to see my screen now?
No.
No? Okay. Yeah, basically it's this question. If you can see my questions, that's good enough. So are you able to see my questions now?
Yes.
So when interest rate goes up, how will property price be impacted? Like you can leave your opinion in the chatting area. Do you think the property price will go up or will drop? Or there is no impact between interest rate and the property price, or you are not sure? So what do you think? Can you drop some notes in the chatting area so we know how you think? Because some people say, when the interest rate goes up, that means affordability is less. So property price will drop. But some other people think, when we increase the interest rate because of inflation. So when inflation is high, means things become more expensive. That means property price will become more expensive. The construction material become more expensive. The land become more expensive. So some people think maybe price will go up. So what do you think? Do you think price will go down or go up, or there's no impact? So what I'm going to show other people is the history. So in the history, we can see in the past, over the last 20 or 30 years, when the Reserve Bank start to increase interest rate, what happened to the property value? So we can see here, some people say drop, up, drop, about 50-50.
50-50.
50-50, yeah. So it's still good interaction. So let's look at let me share the screen. I hope everyone can see my screen.
Yep. Yes,
Okay,
can see.
that's good. That's good. At least you can see my screen. Okay. So let's move this. These two charts, actually they are the same, the red one and blue one. The reason I put them together because the red one is most up to date, up to today. So you can see it's from 1990 up to 2022, actually up to this month. And the blue one is only up to 2020. You see 19 here, and it's probably only up to 2020. The reason I put the blue one here because the time frame you can see each year. That's the reason I put them together. So from this graph, what you can tell is in 1990s, you look at the interest rate. You look at the blue one, it's 17%.
17%.
17%, that's cash rate. That's not the bank interest rate when you get the loan from the bank. So now the cash rate is 0.85. And interest rate at the bank, is close to 3% for investment loan, right? Just under 3%. It depends on which lender. So the cash rate, normally interest rate is higher than cash rate. So when the cash rate in 1990 is 17%, we know if people get a loan from the bank, they're probably paying close to 20% at that time. So what about the property price at that time look like? I will show people. Yeah. And another thing we want to have a look from this chart is, look at now, look at the red one. We are 0.85%. It's still very, very low. Look at the history. The history is about 5% average. That's a cash rate. So if you borrow from the bank, normally it's about 7%. When I bought my first property in 2008, it's here. Cash rate 7%. An interest rate, when I borrow the loan from the bank, they charge me 9%, 9.5%. Yeah. So now it's still quite affordable. Yeah. And another thing I want to show people, yeah. If you look at this chart, when you see the interest rate goes up like this is called sharp increase. All the sharp increase, it doesn't last long. Look at this one, 1994 to 1995. It's a big increase, but only lasts for 1 year. Look at 1999 to 2000. It only lasts for a year and a half. That's a sharp increase. And all this steady increase, it can last longer. So let's have a look here. During this period, what happened to the property price? I'm going to show you next page. So look at this one. The first one increase, the sharp increase is from 1994 to 1995. Look at this. This is Brisbane property price over the last 40 years. You see, generally speaking, the price generally always go up. It has some fluctuations, but the overall trend, you see, it goes up, right? So 1994 is here. And in 1995, we can see the property price up a little bit and then drop a little bit. It's almost flat, almost flat. So when the interest rate has a sharp increase, the property price doesn't change much if you look at here. If you think this is coincidence, let's look at another one. This one, from 2000 to 2001, that's another increase, sharp increase. Look at this, from 2000 to 2001. You see the property price actually increased a little bit. It's not much, but it's going up. Let's look at another one. This is from 2002 to 2008. That's 6 years steady interest rate increase. What happened to the property price? Let's have a look. Let history show us what happened. From 2002, we see the property value is about 200,000 in Brisbane. That's very, very cheap, 200,000. Now, I wish I could buy a few at that time. And look, up to 2008, right? That's the interest rate from here to here, almost doubled, like 4% to almost 8%. Look at what happened to the property value from 200,000 to just over 400,000. So interest rate almost double, and property value also double.
Yeah.
This is what happened, So I show people, during this period of time, the interest rate start to go up. Sometimes the property value doesn't change. Sometimes it going up. I don't say, the history always happen, but at least it gave indication to people, when the interest rate, especially have a look, this interest rate is much higher compared to what we are paying now. But property value can still go up. Yeah. And also some people say, when interest rate goes up, the affordability becomes less. But what we need to think about it is, when we borrow loan from the bank, from the lender, even the interest rate last year was 2%. When the bank calculate our borrowing capacity, they use 5% to do the calculation. They don't use 2% because they know interest rate will go up. Because we look at the history, the average interest rate is about 5%. That's the cash rate. So the interest rate will be a little bit higher than 5%. That's average. That's why even when the interest rate is only 2.5%, but lender, when they do the calculation to calculate our borrowing capacity, they use 5% as a buffer. So even when the interest rate start to go up, it's still affordable because our borrowing capacity is based on 5%. And now, if you go to the bank to borrow the home loan, they use a rate at 6% instead of 5% because cash rate now has increased. So they always has a buffer. They always have a buffer. That's why even when the interest rate go up, 1%, 2%, 3%, it's still affordable based on their calculations. Yeah, that's why we see, in the past, even the interest rate goes up, the property price may be flat, maybe going up, maybe, drop a little bit. Yeah, there is no direct relationship between them. Yeah, something more important is supply and demand.
Yeah.
And watch this, we are having sharp increase now. I believe the interest rate increase won't last long. In the history, any sharp increase can only last for 1 or 2 years. I believe within the next 2 years, as long as inflation drops, interest rate will start to stabilize and start to drop to help improve the economy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Back then, when the interest rate drops, property market will be like last year. No one want to go back to last year. That situation is very, very hard to buy property.
That's
so
right.
I think there's opportunities here. Let me show people why we need to borrow money, why we are so excited to borrow money. Have a look at this one. This one is CPI. CPI is reflection of inflation. So when the CPI goes up, we see inflation goes up. We see in March, inflation, CPI is 5.1%, right? The reason, this month, Reserve Bank increased 0.5% instead of 0.25% because they believe June quarter CPI will be high. So when CPI is high, means things become more expensive. Go to have a look, go to the supermarket, have a look, everything become more expensive. The petrol price become expensive, everything become expensive.
Yeah.
If, for example, land become more expensive, construction material become more expensive. As an overall, the property should be more expensive. If property price value drops, there is no margin for developer. If no margin for developer, they buy land more expensive, material more expensive, but selling price, if not becoming more expensive, that means their margin become less. As a result, as a developer, like some place we do development as well, we will not do any development because no profit. If they don't do development, there's no supply.
Yeah.
No supply, still have demand, still have people from Sydney, from Melbourne, as Luke showed us just now. No supply, demand stronger, what's going to happen with the price? Another thing very important here is, look, CPI 5%, what does that mean? If I borrow money from the bank, 3%, 4%, 5%, that means it's free money. Do you know why? Because, look, think about it. If we borrow 1 million now, right? CPI 5%. That means next year, 1 million is only worth 950,000 now because it dropped 50,000 because of inflation. Inflation, it dropped 5%. That means you lose 50,000, right? Because the money become less valuable, things become more expensive, right? So if we say even CPI, we keep 5%, I believe it will go up. Next year, 1 million will become 950,000, right? So even you pay the interest, as long as the interest rate is less than 5%, the money you borrow is free. It's less than inflation rate. Our inflation, money is depreciated 5%. You only pay 3% interest to the bank. That means the lender, the bank give you money, they also lose 2% interest if you look at the net rate, right? If CPI going up 7%, as long as, when we borrow money less than 7%, it's free money. Yeah, if you don't really understand what I'm talking, you can talk to the people who invite you tonight. We can do the calculations for you. So you understand, when the interest rate is less than CPI rate, that means the money we borrow is free. If we don't borrow, we lose money. The money sitting in the bank is becoming cheaper and cheaper. $100 last year, we can buy a full tank of petrol. This year, we can't buy a full tank of petrol because money is becoming less value. That's why I said, as long as our interest rate even is going up, if it's less than CPI rate, go to borrow it. Borrow as much as you can. If you don't borrow it, that means our money become less value, and now it's free money to borrow. Yeah. So that's what I want to say. Yeah.
And also about the rent,
someone, Cherry, I think, asked me the question. Yeah. Is this quarterly rate? No, 5.1% is compared to a year ago. So means compared to last year, it's 5.1% more expensive. Yeah. Okay. So I finished my part. Yeah.
Okay. And I just want to add one point, because locally the rental yield is increasing a lot. So just did the calculation, increase about 0.5%, but the rental is increasing more way than that. So that's the tenants will pay that money. Yeah. So which is, as investor, is still really good game to do it. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to hand over to Richard. Richard's going to talk about house and land. Where's the hotspot for house and land? Yeah.
Are you able to see this?
No, yes, we can.
Yeah.
I'm going to show this screen to people. Give me a second. This one. Another thing I want to introduce, just talk a little bit, because the poll doesn't work tonight. Just want to say
it's working.
No, this is end poll, is it? Is people able to select? Okay, yeah, it's working now. Oh, that's good. Yeah, what's the reason people want to invest in Queensland? Now it's working. You can choose. On your screen there's a poll section. You can choose why people want to invest in Queensland. Don't put all eggs in one basket. That means people don't want to buy property only in their own city. For example, people from Sydney, they don't want to buy all the properties just in Sydney because they understand each city has their own cycle. Before Sydney, Melbourne, they are in the same cycle. So they grow faster. And now Brisbane and Adelaide in the same cycle. They are grow faster. That's why we buy properties in different cities. So always, some cities perform better than the other cities. That's why we say don't put all eggs in one basket. Another thing is safe land tax. What safe land tax means? If people buy property in Sydney, you pay land tax. When you buy next property in Queensland, as long as the land value less than 600,000 for each person, you don't need to pay stamp duty.
Land tax.
Because, you don't pay stamp. You don't pay land tax. Yeah.
Land tax.
You don't pay land tax. Sorry, don't pay for land tax. So it's safe land tax. Yeah. Even you pay land tax in Sydney, but when you buy property in Queensland, the calculation start from zero. Yeah. Better cash flow means the rental yield. because we understand rental yield is the annual rent divided by property price, right? So because Brisbane property value is cheaper than Sydney and Melbourne, that's why our rental yield is stronger. Normally it's 4.5% to 5%. And compared to other cities, it's better cash flow, especially when interest rates start to go up. We want to have better cash flow. So it can help us to pay off the mortgage. The last thing here is capital growth potential due to the Olympic Games. So let's look at the results here. I think, I'm not sure whether people can say it, 75% people, 77% people choose capital growth potential. 77%. Yeah. Let me see whether I can show these results to people. Are you able to see the results?
Yep. Yes.
Yeah.
So this is the results. See, lots of people, they come here, they believe the great capital growth potential. And some people believe the rental yield. Some people don't want to put all the eggs in one basket. Yeah. Okay, Richard, I'll leave the rest to you.
Okay. I need to share my screen.
Yeah. Give me a second. Yeah. I'll put you as a host. So Richard is going to introduce Brisbane area. Okay.
Cool.
You are the host.
All right. So I'm aware of the time is 8 o'clock already. So I'll run as quick as I can. So we try to finish everything before 8:15. A little bit about myself. I started to live in Brisbane since 2010. I'm one of the co-founders of Sunplace, and I'm always been in the property industry since I graduated from university. So Brisbane, as a nutshell, we are a river city. So compared to Sydney, we are a bit far away from the harbour. This is Brisbane City in the middle. I'll talk about in different directions. So north, south, west, and east in a nutshell. North side of Brisbane, geographically and demographically, a lot of Caucasian prefer north side of Brisbane. Funny story, when I first came to Brisbane, people's been very proud and telling me, I've never lived north side of Brisbane. So I always been living in north side of Brisbane. So for a lot of people, they think north side of Brisbane is a premium part of the Brisbane. Part of the reason is because when Brisbane got developed, north of the Brisbane got developed first. So when people arrive, this is the suburb. When people start building Brisbane, Hamilton got the first house in Queensland, and now it's turned into a museum. So north of Brisbane has been developing early, and a lot of people has been prefer.
Yeah.
But it has its advantage and disadvantage. The advantage is all of the suburbs in the north side of Brisbane, they are pretty mature, very well established. But because they've been built many, many years ago, the infrastructure network, especially the road network, is not as good as south. So if you look at the major infrastructures in Brisbane as road infrastructures, we've got M3 and M1 motorway running along towards the south, all the way goes to Gold Coast. We've got M2 motorway running between Ipswich and Logan, so from west to the east. We've got M5 and M7 motorway, Centenary motorway running from Brisbane City towards the western suburb of Brisbane. But up north, we only have one way, one major road going up. So that's a disadvantage of the north. The good thing is there's some areas has really good connections in the north. Some area might be not very good connected, but some areas, if you are close to the infrastructure, you're still good. I'll talk about a few hubs of Brisbane. So currently, if you draw a 5 kilometer circle of Brisbane City, that has become very expensive now. You're very, very lucky to get anything you can live in under 1.5 million. So Brisbane used to be really affordable 12 months ago compared to Sydney. A lot of the areas in Brisbane has gone away from those affordability. A lot of the new opportunities come along between those 20 to 35 kilometers away from Brisbane City. So under the south, if you go along M1 motorway, you run through Logan towards the Gold Coast. So Gold Coast is the 6th largest city in Australia. Brisbane is the 3rd largest city in Australia. Government is talking about in the future, Brisbane and Gold Coast is going to merge into a huge city, which can cope with 10 million population. This is the only area in Australia have the capacity of coping 10 million population. And Logan is sitting in between Brisbane and the Gold Coast. That's a fast growing area. If you're going to the west, Springfield is a very, very popular area, especially for new immigrants. So this has been awarded by the best master plan community in the 1990s of the whole world. So they've got new university came in there, they've got new hospital came in there, you got a train station, shopping center. It has become a satellite city, but it's only 35 kilometers away from Brisbane City. It's you can compare this with Parramatta in Sydney, but I think it's a lot newer compared to Parramatta. On the eastern side, some of those suburbs has been growing really, really well along the coastal line over the last 12 months. Because of the COVID-19, a lot of people are driving towards lifestyle. So a lot of the areas has access to the bay. Lifestyle has been really, really popular. But a disadvantage of the eastern side of Brisbane, similar to the north, it only has one major road going to the city. There's no highway. The speed limit of this road is 80 kilometers per hour. But most people living here will live and work locally. The Kapalaba is an employment hub of those areas, Redland Bay. And then the north. So if you're going north, you pass Chermside, Aspley, and then the current very, very popular area is North Lake. So a few years ago, North Lake was developed. Now it's fully occupied. So Griffin, North Lake, this area has become very popular. Again, has been very well received by the new immigrants. And in this area, you got very large Westfield, you've got the commercial center, you've got hospital, train station, IKEA, Costco, everything. It's like a hub of the north side of Brisbane now. It's about 30 kilometers away from the Brisbane city. The good opportunity I'm gonna talk about is the north side of Brisbane, only 20 kilometers away from Brisbane city. And it's a very well established existing suburb called Breckenridge. This area. Okay. I'll show.
And also very close to beach, Sandygate, 5 minutes drive.
I'll show a map, an aerial shot from the brochure, so you have a clear understanding where is the site.
Breckenridge basically is 18 kilometers on the north of Brisbane. It's still in the Brisbane Council. So in terms of distance compared to Sydney, it's called the suburb called Dewey, D-E-E-W-H-Y, Dewey, because they both about 18 kilometers on the north side and also close to water. But the price in Breckenridge is only 1/3 of the property value in Dewey.
Can you see my screen of the brochure? Aerial shot.
Yeah, we
Okay.
can see.
So this is the site, Breckenridge. Is going to be 32 house and land packages done by partners in property. A little bit about this developer, they have been delivering house and land package projects in Southeast Queensland for more than 10 years. They've done a lot of projects in Greenbank, which is south side of the Brisbane. They are also one of the few developers also have a building arm. So they will do the land subdivision and also do the construction by themselves. This gives them a lot of control of the whole estate. Also in the current market, shows everything is in the less risk because you have a very strong financial position developer also controlling the construction. And on this map, you can say this is a bay, Sandgate Beach. We're only 5 minutes away, 5 minutes drive away from Sandgate Beach. It's a beautiful area. So this is a combination of really good established suburb, have easy access to the bay, also sitting north of the Brisbane. Like I said, Brisbane, the north side of Brisbane, one of the disadvantage is the road network, but this one being easy access to the highway, you're only 15 minutes away from the Brisbane airport. So in regards to the employment, Brisbane City is the largest employment hub of Queensland. The second largest employment hub is the Brisbane Airport plus Port of Brisbane. We call it Australian Trading Coast. We're only 15 minutes away from that employment hub. And local school is just here, Breckenridge State School. You got a private college, shopping center, everything within 5 minutes drive. I'll show you a photo of the master plan.
There's also a Westfield about 10 minutes drive further north.
Yeah, the North Lake Westfield I just mentioned. This photo is from Sandgate Beach. So this is a master plan. We've got 32 lots in total. Some of those lots are really large with 3,000 square meters of the land, but part of the land is the vegetation area. Majority of the land is around 400 square meters. Now in Brisbane, that's a large land subdivision, 400 square meters. Currently, a lot of land subdivision starting with 300 square meters of the land. And the building is beautiful Hampton style building, looks like this. Building size is about 200 square meters internally. All 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 2-car, and 2 living area, which is very important and popular in the local demographic because a lot of people living in this area, the young families, they need a second living area either for the kids or just a separate area for husband and wife.
Yeah. And also the land is very, we do have a few lots, it's huge, like 1,000, 2,000 square meters land. This is quite rare in the Brisbane Council. So that's a great advantage as well. And also it's a fixed price.
Yeah, we call this lifestyle land. Even part of the land is vegetation. You can't put permanent structure on there, but you can still have this as your backyard. It's a lifestyle choice. This is an image, a render for the internal of the house. Show some other image of the internal.
There are very two important things in this suburb. Breckenridge is a very established area. Like in Sydney, lots of house land package, they are like 1 hour distance, driving distance from CBD. But this one is within 30 minutes. And this is in the established area. So there's no other land available for you to build a house. So this is the only area you can build. Another thing is the average price in Breckenridge consider the old house is over 800,000. So with our new package, it's almost above the same price compared to the old properties. Yeah, so it's very, very competitive. You know, you use an old house price to buy a new one.
Yeah. So when we say Breckenridge is a very established suburb and this is being an infill development, what we are trying to say is you have very few and limited supply in the future because there's no new house, no new land for the new house to be built. Very limited supply. And if you are looking for a rental in Breckenridge, it's less than 10 rentals available in the whole suburb. That shows you how strong the demand is in the area. This is a render of the street. So when the project's finished, it's gonna look like this with beautiful kitchen, with breakfast bar, bathroom floor to ceiling tiles with premium finish. Okay, so
Yes.
it's almost, it's already 8:16. So we'll try to wrap up today's webinar. If you got any questions, you can ask people who invited you to the webinar. I don't think we've got enough time for the Q&A.
Yeah, Q&A, there is no question, only had one question here is about the beach. Yeah, so the beach is at the east side, like for example, the Sandy Gate is very nice beach side. It's only 5 minutes drive to the Breckenridge, this project. And also, as you can see the map, the Victoria Point, the Cleveland is all the we call Bayside. Yeah.
I'll quickly show you on the map. This is the Breckenridge. Sandgate Beach is here, eastern side, 5 minutes away, very close by. And
with all the beaches, you can walkable. You can, you know, walk the dog, have beautiful park, have a aqua center. It's amazing, and also very easy drive. About 10 minutes drive to Redcliffe. Redcliffe is a beautiful beach side as well.
I think that's the most beautiful beach in Brisbane area. And also, you know, if people want to look to buy a house and also with good cash flow, this is very good because the price is like existing, like old house price. But the new property, the rental yield is much higher because tenants, they want to live in the new properties. That means the vacancy is very, very low. You know, even only 10 properties are in the suburb, but if this come out, will go very quick. And also because of depreciation, new property depreciation is higher. So if you don't know much about depreciation, maybe ask the people who invite you to the webinar. Today we don't have time, but we can explain to you, you know, how you can take advantage, you know, by investing new property because you can claim more money back from depreciation.
Yeah. So only few about six lots available on the Breckenridge, price from 800K to 900K. But in this area, rental is going to be, because the land registration is going to be end of this September of this year. Finish time is going to be middle of next year. At that time, the rental will be 750 to 800.
Land registration towards the end of this year.
End of this year. Yeah.
And also we'll say first quarter next year, end of this year or first quarter next year. Yeah.
And only need 10% of the land and 5% of the build as deposit. Yeah, so it's a great opportunity. You can, and also the price is it's a fixed price. And also we do have a house and land package in the Logan area as well, and in Springfield, near Springfield Redman Plains as well. It's about 650 to 750 this rank. In that place is really good for investment as well. But anyway, so it really depends on your situation. So welcome you guys to book appointment with us, and we can have a bit chat about your situation, and we will select the right project and with right strategy and for you. Okay.
With the house land package, the good thing is people only pay stamp duty on the land. They don't pay stamp duty on the house. So if you don't know how it works, maybe ask the people who invite you. And also, we have a report about Australia, the whole nation, different city, over the last few months, how the property performance, because we understand each city performance is different. When the interest rates start to go up, if you look at the news, they see property price drop, but you need to look into the details, which city they are talking about. So when you look into the details, you will see it's not all the cities. They're basically just talking about 2 cities. So that's why, we can't just look at the title. We need to look into the details because each city perform different. Every city has own cycle. When interest rate drops, it doesn't mean all the cities will perform equally well. It doesn't mean all the cities price will go up. Some city price will go up. Some cities price will drop. Some city price will stay, very stable. Same thing, when interest rate goes up, some city property value can still go up. So it depends on which city. And if you want to get this report, ask the people who invite you to this webinar, and we can email you a copy so you know which city perform better compared to other cities, especially when the interest rates start to go up, what's the performance difference between them.
Yeah, because if you are new investors, do a cash flow analysis is very important. Interest rate is still on the way up. The target for the government is 2.5% cash rate. So now we're only sitting at 0.85. It's still on the way up in the next 2 years.
Yeah.
Do the calculation for your cash flow based on the cash rate projection is very important. If you don't know how to calculate it, contact us. We can help you to do the calculation.
Yeah, cash flow is a king. So you need to find a good rental yield property. All right. Okay. Today this webinar is here. Thanks everybody to join us, and also we'll see you next time. Also, would like to hear from you on the call.
Okay. Have a good night.
Okay. Bye.